Hello, welcome back to the Monster Train tier list. I am joined once again by Dusk
What up?
and Cranberry,
Hello.
and we're back. We're doing melting this week.
So it's melting, which means it's probably going to be pretty fast, but
Yeah,
as always, we'll inevitably find random crap to talk about. So,
yeah. You guys ready for 3 hours of segues?
No.
They're really convenient for getting around.
Ah.
uh,
I'm just gonna stop the recording now. It's the
You know that
video.
the
start
guy
over, go next.
do you know that the guy who invented the Segway died by driving a Segway off a cliff?
No, I didn't
Yeah.
know that.
Is that
But I
real?
think I think people think that there might be foul play involved. This is not a bit, by the way. This actually is a thing that happened.
This is not a bit. I killed the man who made the Segway.
This is not a confession either. But
Was the dude
he
named
like
John Segway or something?
I
Oh,
wish. Imagine if
yeah.
it was like Dan Moped instead. And it was like, what the hell?
I would have figured it was Paul Blart.
But yeah, my conspiracy theory is that the White House Secret Service in the year 2007 was upset that George Bush fell off that Segway, and they had to seek vengeance. So
Ah,
they set it up.
of
I figured it
course.
was it was going to be Big Moped taking him down,
Oh
but
yeah. Sales. Big scooter taken down by Razor.
Guys, we gotta actually do this video before a solar flare takes out the power grid, and I have
Oh
to
yeah, that's right.
I have to not be able to do this anymore.
All right, let's start. You ready?
yeah. All right.
Okay. Melting
Mm,
Hellhorn is first. Oh,
Yeah, we've talked about all of these in some variant, but like it turns out reforming and endless and burnout one on imps is really good.
mm-hmm.
And I think Rector is an incredible champion for a lot of reasons and has no bad path. So I have this as Rector's strongest. There's no way I feel bad about this clan combo, pretty much. You can take big burnout Rector and just stick him on bottom, completely unsupported, and then just play a normal run up top with burnout imps, and it's really good. You can take harvest and you have imps dying that maybe you have rage and other things on them. You can do all sorts of stuff. Even Dark Calling is great in this combo. You just slap
mm.
Burnout 1 on Horned Warrior and go mad with power. It's good. I love it. I have it as an S rank.
Yeah, I feel the same way, and I'm actually gonna, upon further consideration, I'm gonna make some edits to my tier list real quick because what I've decided,
Damn.
I want to have one of each clan in S tier, not 10 but 5, right? So I'm gonna demote Exile Umbra Wormkin to A tier, and I'm gonna promote Stygian Awoken to S tier.
Okay.
'Cause I
Okay.
wanna have one of each in the S tier. I've decided. So I feel like
Okay,
I want to
that's
have
nice.
one best from every week, and I think that this is your best for Rector. I agree with everything you said. Putting imps on tombs is cool. Uh, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good stuff you can do.
Um, for me personally, I put it at A tier just because I personally struggle with Rector a little. Dark Calling is like it's not too big brain, but it's a little tricky to play. And I like brainless incant strats usually.
Yeah, I mean
But like but
that's a
you
fair
got what
point.
yeah, but you guys said is all very true. Like uh reforming imps is sick. Uh the end.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's one of those things where, I definitely want to qualify. A lot of the commentary I'm going to put towards Rector is predicated on, I think Dark Calling is actually a really strong path in the DLC, but it has an incredibly high skill floor. You have to be extremely good at navigating Dark Calling in order to play it well and win. Otherwise, you're going to burn out on random floors, not have your units when you need them, leak like an entire wave on the Divinity, and just die.
yeah,
So I would not recommend it to any new players, new viewers. Maybe if you're just getting into the DLC for the first time, don't just slam Reform because it looks cool. You're going to be disappointed and you're going to think that the clan sucks. Give it time. Try it a lot, accept a lot of losses, and then you'll eventually figure it out and go, "Holy crap, this is really good."
yeah. I agree. I mean, I also in the early game, Dark Calling is pretty easy. You just spam units and you
Oh
go,
yeah.
wow. But yeah, later on you have to
Yeah,
think a little
fair.
bit. The thing that I've noticed with Dark Calling though is like if you have him bring back a drag 2 or 3 times, that unit does like 100 damage. There's some big boy hits.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
early game's honestly pretty easy because you do just play all your dragons, let them burn out, bring them back, and just keep doing that.
Yeah, I also think it really depends on if you're going after the divinity or not. Obviously, I'm thinking about all of these clan combos in the context of a divinity run, but if you're just playing the normal game, then it slaps, really.
Yeah, I also think that Dark Calling is pretty good when you have like a specific reform card, like a molded held over or something like that, because then you can bring back your important card no matter what, and then you get Rector just giving you a bunch of fodder to throw out there.
Yeah, my general opinion with Dark Calling is that you should have 3 copies of the unit you want him to reform. 2 will usually burn out or die on one turn, and then they get reformed by him. And then you have like a holdover molded or something in order to bring the third one back if you have a bad turn. And it
Yeah.
means you never miss, right? You always have at least one of them.
Alternatively, what I also find myself doing is, especially in this combo, you can use Dark Calling to just let yourself play like 2 or 3 imps every turn very easily, and then you just leave a unit alive behind those guys. The imps will tank hits for you, they'll give you their summon effect. You can
Mhm.
also do it with a tomb, and that works as well. And then you don't have to worry
Yeah,
about having your unit
Mhm.
die randomly.
it's actually a really good point too, because I mean, you can just splash Dark Calling if all you want is the reform and not the scaling,
Hmm.
and then you could do like Burnout 2, Dark Calling 1, and then if your Lady of the Reformed dies in front of Burnout Rector, it just automatically comes back every turn, and that can be really strong.
I actually just thought of something too. This entirely, I zoned out while you guys were talking there. But I'm actually gonna bump this up to S tier as well because I just remembered that there's a lot of rage crossover with this clan. You
Yeah, big
got you got Big
sludge.
Sludge making rage, and then Deranged Root potentially buffing him. You got a lot of synergy there. You got oh god, everyone
Paraffin
gets angry.
Enforcer,
Everyone gets angry. What's that card called?
Paraffin Enforcer.
Paraffin
No, I
Enforcer.
mean he makes people angry, but the spell everyone yells battle cry or something.
Last stand.
Last stand. There you go.
Why
Everyone
Yeah.
did you call
yells.
it Battle Cry? Everyone yells.
Yeah, there you
Much
go. That's the
better name.
spell. But yeah, there's a lot of actually rage crossover that I forgot about when I initially thought about this clan, and that's pretty neat. You got like relics that buff them too. Then you got like collection of tales and resonant stone or whatever it's called. You know that one.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Resonant Shard. That's what you mean.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You know how it goes.
Hmm.
Uh, and then final point I want to make here real quick. I think we can kind of just more or less all agree Rector's got the coolest drip out of the entire game.
Mm,
Come on.
I don't
little
know.
fade though.
Shardtail, they have some pretty good ones. Like Shardtail Queen's got some good skirt going on.
Yeah, but like, have you seen Rector?
He does have a banging jacket. That's
That's
true.
Yeah,
true,
he's
yeah.
fucking he's fucking like r/streetwear, dude. He's ready to go.
One
And he's
last.
like and he's like a freaking like vampire. He's just like a vampire. How sick is that?
He's
He
a,
doesn't wear shoes though, which is a little concerning.
Really?
Yeah, go check him out. He's just got weird feet
Hold
thing.
on, hold on. I had a coworker who kept taking off his shoes at work and I harassed him endlessly forever because he kept doing it. If you're telling me this man is not wearing shoes, this clan is going into F tier.
Yeah, he's got no shoes. He's got like a band of fabric on his left foot, and that's it. And but really, why does he have fabric on his left foot?
He's
That's
got
really weird.
sandals. It's sandals. I think.
I think if that's sandal, that's even worse, man.
They're
He's got
weird
like
sandals.
Alright, I'll look him up now.
you can't do that. That's not cool.
Maybe it's not sandals. Maybe it is just a piece of like leather he's got wrapped around the bottom of his foot.
Yeah, he's got like a wrap on his arms and on his feet.
Yeah, never mind. Okay, sorry, I gotta put this back into F tier.
Yeah, that's fair.
yeah,
No
it's
one,
rough.
no one who refuses to wear shoes belongs in the S tier.
One last thing I want to say about Reform Rector before we move on. I also want to offer up the strategy of if you play top four, you can just let Rector be mid floor and he can give you like 2 reforms and then fuck off, and that's still pretty good.
Yeah, I also think he's really good if you can slap endless on him with like Remnant Pact or something. You just
Yeah,
play him bottom, and he reforms everything, and you just play him again every turn, and it's
yeah.
actually pretty good.
Or you can put a stealth tomb in front of him if you have the resources, and then
Yep.
yeah, that works too.
Yeah, he's
Um,
really flexible, actually. Well, the last thing I'll actually mention, now that I've said that like 3 times,
Hmm.
there's one neat trick for Rector. If you put something in front of him that burns out on that same turn, he will reform it,
Yeah,
which is really important. There's a lot of times where that matters, especially with the draft infusion being what it is. So that's worth considering as well.
agree. All right.
All right.
Disagree.
All right, Cranberry, why do you disagree?
Uh, because this man's not wearing shoes. F tier.
Okay, that's fair.
Fair. I can't argue with that.
Hmm. Up next, unless anyone else has any final thoughts.
No.
No, let's do it.
All right, we have Exile Melting Hellhorn. I want to go first for this one. I've hinted at this before, but I'm actually just going to make a new tier for this week's tier list. And it's
Okay.
going to be the Little Fade tier.
Okay.
Because I think that she truly is a cut above. Hang on, I have doomed it. And I renamed the wrong one. I am a fool. All right, I'm making a new tier list though, and this is the Little Fade tier.
Yeah,
Okay.
she really
And
is pretty
yeah,
nuts.
she is unbelievable. The champion is bonkers.
Yeah.
You
I
know?
like I mean I think in my case when I was putting together my rankings here, most of hers are in S tier and there are a couple that I put in A tier and it feels a little disingenuous to put any of hers in A tier,
Yeah,
but I wanted to communicate that a couple of them are worse than others. So
Mhm.
maybe with like a higher tier I could put the worst ones in S and the better ones in little fade tier. So
that would work too. Yeah, I mean, you guys, you're welcome to do your tier list however you want. But when I was
I'll
thinking
make
about
I'll make a little
this,
face. I like it.
when I was
yeah,
thinking
yeah,
about this, and when we were talking about it last week, like the champion is so you can win any run with Little Fade with very little hard work. She does everything that you need. And if you don't want to play and just have your run be Little Fade does everything, you can just play the endless path, and then she's just I kill one heavy for you every turn with no
Mhm.
consequences.
Yeah. I mean, she has virtually no downside, and if you want a brainless path that's really good, she's got it. So it's interesting because the only reason she's allowed to be this strong is because according to the game's metrics, she's actually a much worse champion than you and I know she is.
Hmm.
And it's because her metrics are brought down by players who aren't familiar with her power curve and basically it's weird to players that you're very weak early on and you have to play it cool, skip all the trials, go in the data list with like 0 shards sometimes, and just ramp up in the end. Whereas everyone wants to like, ooh, I want to click that divine horde, and then they just get blasted by a 9x2 or something.
Yeah,
And it's because of that difficulty, she doesn't get balanced down. And as a result, you run into this scenario where people who are good at the game are just like, haha, fade, I won already. Like it doesn't matter. It's a foregone conclusion. So
I mean, she's been buffed.
yeah,
She's
it's
she's
true,
been
yeah.
she's been made better since release.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like Eternal Flame was not nearly as good until it got free quick on it, which
Mhm.
is pretty obscene. And even the quote unquote nerf to Firelight really didn't do anything because it only touched the lower 2 tiers. It didn't actually affect the biggest one. So
hmm
I mean, it's ridiculous. But I, from a metrics based perspective, and based on how Shiny Shoe looks at this, I kind of understand. They made a tough to play champion, and this is what you get from it. So
yeah. We could spend a lot of time talking about how good Little Fade is. I feel like what we should do is we should spread it out a little bit so that like
true.
because we could sit here and we could talk about all of the intricacies of Little Fade for like 30 minutes, but I think that in this like in these next two Little Fade rankings, I'd like to talk about Little Icarus because these are the ones that are the most relevant for Little Icarus in my mind.
Mhm.
Yep.
So why don't we
I,
talk
I'm
about Little Icarus here?
I'm
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say a full stop here. I think that this specific combo, Little Fade with Hellhorn, is the best Little Fade variant too. You've got the molds, so you can still do imp stuff, and imp performing is so much easier when you have 5 primitive molds in your deck. And then on top of that, you have access to armor, so you can play Little Icarus if you don't see, whichever one you want to play, I guess, in that run. I don't know. It just seems like this is maybe not the best. Like it's not the best Little Icarus fade, but I think overall you'll have the most luck with this combo.
Yeah, there are no bad hits, is
Mhm.
basically what you're saying, and I super agree with that. I mean,
There's
you
no bad hits, and then also just the fact that this combo is together supports imps very well too. Like
yeah,
it's
true.
just kind of nuts.
Yeah, you have a lot of flexibility. And I mean, you have the little licorice line, and you're going to see this when I rank them. I basically put any of the three clans that support little licorice really well in the tier above the ones that can't, because sometimes you're shown something like little licorice and firelight, and maybe you have a really bad firelight start or something, and it can happen. So that those runs are a little more complex to navigate, even though when I say more complex to navigate, all of them are wicked easy once you understand how to play it compared to other champions. But I want to distinguish between which are the stronger combos and which are the weaker ones. And this is definitely one of them. I have this as personally, I had this as S tier. I think I would put it in little fade tier that we've just created for sure.
Mhm.
Right.
There's there's so much here between, you have draft, of course, already in the clan, but you have horned warrior. You just put horned warrior with draft and create the god tier unit that goes behind the firelight path. You have imps, like you already mentioned. You have armor for little Icarus. You could play a totally normal Hellhorn floor up top, and then have Eternal Flame go mad with power down below. And it's so strong. It really is crazy.
Yeah. I think that if I were to pick, I think that Exile Melting Default Hellhorn is probably the strongest combo in the game.
I agree.
Probably,
I
yeah. Actually, yeah.
I
Yeah,
think
you
that
get you
there's
have
too
you have the
much.
early game torch to pick off collectors that are in bad spots. Like you've got the primitive molds for imps. Like you have little fade. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. Exile Hellhorn is also not the worst because then having like an okay idea is four Queen Zimplings behind Firelight Fade. You get so many stats out of that. You just have to
Mhm.
keep them
Yeah.
alive.
Or
But
you can kill them. You can play them and then reform them.
yeah, that's true too. Like
Okay,
it's
it's good.
mm-hmm. The yeah, I mean, for the intricacies, I feel like we can talk a little bit about Spike's Fade for this one. Spike's Fade, the big problem that you can run into with this champion is if you don't get started, it can be hard to get going. There's like four combats in the first three, that is combat one, combat two, combat four, that are really, really good for this. If you fight clergy at either of the first two combats, you probably just win the run.
And there's
And
one specific terrible combat for Little Icarus, and it's the Spike Boys, or not the Spike Boys, the Damage Shield Boys.
Apprentices of Light. Yeah,
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 fuck
that's
those guys.
they can shut you down if you're no matter what you're doing with Little Icarus.
yeah. With any fade, really, those things will body you because
Mhm.
she wants to die, and it can be
Yeah.
really tough. So
Yeah, the if you're playing Spike's Fade, the combat that has the 245, the 5-1, and the healer is also bad because you usually get one kill on Fade in that combat,
Mhm.
which is tough too. But like even with all of that, this combo is still very strong. Icarus, like little Icarus plus a Welder Helper start is almost unlosable.
Yeah, and then
yeah,
when you get the invasion trial, and you're just like, oh, what have you idiots done?
Yeah, ka-ching, baby.
Yeah.
The Combat 4 combat, by the way, that has recovered a lot of my little Icarus runs is Party Boys. Party Boys is
yep.
real nice.
Mhm.
It's pretty easy to cross over the 35 HP threshold after Daedalus. So
Hmm.
as long as you keep low on shards and don't let any of those dudes upgrade, then you should be fine.
Yeah, ideally with Little Fade, you're going like you're getting 45 spikes by Daedalus, and then like 100 by Fel, and then 200 by Seraph. But sometimes you don't reach the first one, but then you'll shoot over the second one.
Yeah, I agree. Those are good numbers. I mean,
Mhm.
obviously, you can have the high rolls that go higher than that if you start with Balder Helper or something
Mhm.
kind of armor card like Fortify or something, or Railhammer or Steelworker, insert armor source here kind of thing.
Yeah,
But the average mid roll is around those numbers for
Mhm.
sure.
yeah. But
How often, if ever, have you guys managed to pull off the Little Icarus 2 dip into Eternal Flame third upgrade?
I've never
Line?
done it.
I have done it, but it's not in this clan combo. So
Oh,
it's actually in the next one that has little fade in it. So
mhm.
I'll talk about it a little more there, but
Hmm.
I think it's more relevant in that one for various reasons.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
I've
Uh,
done it like once before ever, and when you get it to work, it's really cool, but it's kind of like really dependent on you getting a lot of farm early, so that way, it starts off being able to kill a heavy with quick, and then it kills like 2 heavies for you basically is the idea, which is really cool, but, tough. Tough to work if you don't get
Yeah.
enough scaling in the early game.
Yeah. Uh, Last thing I guess we can say about this fade, and then we can move on. The You do have to take a unit, but this is probably the only champion in the game that can win the whole game without any draw priority units for you. Spike's Fade in particular, you can just put her down and she'll kill everything in the end game, but you need to take a unit early. And I think that Hellhorn has some good I need a body units like Rail Beater, Horned Warrior,
Yeah,
things like that.
you do
Yep.
also get some, "I can't play these unit" banners, though, as we're all familiar with.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there is always that, like, 2% chance that you lose the run when you're trying to rely on a Hellhorn.
And I think it's a little, I would say it's probably a little lower than 2% that you see Consumer of Crowns Demon Fiend. But yeah.
Yeah. The other thing is that I think Fate is a little more resilient to that
Hmm.
because even in the early game with train stewards, you can power them up pretty well if you find
Mhm.
burnout extenders and things, if you have firelight, or if you have like imps that can support it even. So you're usually pretty well insulated against that in this combo, no matter what. Even if you skip your first banner entirely and never see a unit until, I don't know, ring three.
Hmm.
But
All right. You guys ready to talk about Melting Awoken?
yeah.
Yeah. I think this combo used to be kind of bad, but it's gotten a lot better.
Yeah, I mean, I think melting in general skyrocketed so high, in my opinion, with the DLC for a various number of reasons that there are no bad clan combos here. Even the worst ones for me are like a B tier. I have this one at A tier because there are a lot of really good units to reform for Dark Calling Rector, and you can do a lot of fun stuff with the sweepers here. Shattershell behind Harvest Rector is pretty powerful. You get a big tank in front. You have a lot of ways of scaling him. You could use burnout. You can give him a paraffin enforcer infusion, and he just kind of goes crazy as long as you don't let him burn out. You've got a lot of options here, and they're pretty good. You've also got, of course, harvest lines, so you can put harvest Wickless Baron, for instance, or Big Sludge inside of a sweeper, and it goes crazy.
Mhm.
And it's a really easy line to play. I think that melting complements Awoken pretty well from all angles. So I've got it as an A tier as a result of that.
One card I'm surprised to hear you not mention all is Wicklash there. Wicklash, just, usually kinda tough to play on non-melting units, but I've had, at least for myself, significant success just putting it on, Animus of Will with Holdover, and then playing that,
Yeah,
like, behind a Paraffin Enforcer or something like that.
yeah.
Or
It's
Paraffin Enforcing onto an Animus of Will, things like that.
right. Truly, I mean, I take so many burnout extenders in all of
Mm,
my melting runs. Purifying Cleanse, Wicklash, Hallowed Drippings. I'm just grabbing one or two of them in every run because you never know after Daedalus if your line is going to pivot into something infused with Paraffin Enforcer that you need to keep alive. And if you haven't taken those cards, those lines are pretty much closed off to you because all you can see at that point is what? Wax and Spike. And that's pretty hard to find. So I almost always will grab something there. And Wicklash is excellent, honestly. I mean, it's a great
yeah.
candidate for holdover, like you said. But even just as a splash, I've done some excellent things with it on random units and then extending burnout in some other way as well. So
Yeah, I think the point I wanted to make was that, like, unlike the other burnout extenders, Wicklash, as long as you give it holdover, you can play in a non-burnout strategy and just use as a buff. Because if you're just playing it every turn, +10 every turn is pretty good as far as
yeah,
attack buffs are concerned. And then you don't have to worry about the penalty of having a burnout unit because you're always, ticking it up by one every. It's not
yeah,
gonna, like, realistically, it's never gonna burn out unless
yeah.
I don't know how you burn out in Relentless when you're playing Wicklash every turn. Like, I don't know what's happening.
Yeah. I mean, I've definitely also had some runs where I just never saw the holdover, and you can throw a spell chain on it, and it's really good for
Mhm,
awoken combos. Purifying cleanse is nice because it's actually a heal, which can play
mhm.
well with some of the other lines in awoken. So anything that rejuvenates. I have definitely done burnout steel singer before and just thrown purifying cleanses at it. It's pretty solid, all things considered, and yeah, I mean, the other thing I'll mention here is combustible wax with those is totally excellent. You don't even need holdover really at that point. I mean, obviously, if you see it, that's great. But if you have something else better you want to hold over or whatever, you can make it work. So,
Yeah, I put this in A tier as well. And you guys covered everything that I uh, would have to say about this combo. As a professional quick sweep player, this is a good combo for quick sweep. You just put it behind a harvester, or you put harvest on your sweeper is cool too.
Mhm.
And you can also play. One other thing we can mention is you can just play a standard. If you're playing default awoken anyway, you can just play like awoken hollow animus or awoken hollow shattered shell, and that is a classic line that does really well, but it makes your champion obsolete. But if you have burnout rector, he's not obsolete. He's just a big body, and that's cool too.
Yeah. Burnout Rector is excellent. I'm a big fan of him in general. You can just kind of slap him down, reform him, whatever. Burnout extend. If he dies, it doesn't really matter. He still killed a bunch of stuff, and he's so low commitment. It's really nice.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like I like to think. I'm not going to talk too long about Penumbra here,
I
but
was
one
thinking
thing
the
that I
same thing.
yeah, like the one thing that I think Monstrous Penumbra really struggles with is that you have to take a space in order to play him at rank 3. So no matter what you do, there is some kind of a commitment there. Whereas Burnout Rector has no commitment whatsoever. You just grab him, you throw him wherever, he beats the hell out of something, and then at worst he dies. At best, he's a major part of your line.
Mhm.
And Penumbra, if he were, just like 5 space at max rank, would be awesome, in my opinion. So food for thought, Shiny Shoe.
I don't think they watch these videos, but it's good to dream that one day they'll make
Hey,
Penumbra
Yeah.
not a dumpster.
when we do the last one, I'll tweet at them. Maybe they'll tweet it out like they did that one champ tier list that was really good.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I've mentioned this. It's 26 minutes into the fifth video. When we finish this, I'm probably gonna slap all of these together and make it like an 8-hour single watch video.
Oh, cool.
You could also make a playlist out of it. Those are pretty good.
Yeah, but then they have to watch multiple ads, and you don't
That's
get the
true.
wow factor of, oh my god, I'm just gonna listen to someone talk for 8 hours.
You do really like that because
I love those videos.
you watch those review videos of
I'm
like
s-
Oblivion or whatever that
yeah,
are 7 hours long.
I'm 7 hours into the 12-hour Oblivion retrospective. I've been
How
taking a
what's the
little
overall
break.
vibe? How do they feel about
Game
it?
sucks. Game's really bad.
Oh, really?
Oh
Bethesda's a
dang.
garbage fire company. That's the vibe. Todd Howard
Wow.
lied.
Damn, man. It's
Wow,
it's weird
dang.
because I back in the day, it's interesting. And I won't spend too much time on this, but Oblivion, I think, aged the worst of all of the Elder
Oh yeah,
Scrolls from like
absolutely.
3, 4, and 5. Like I could still play Skyrim today and I could turn that into a gorgeous game with mods. And like, there are problems in it. It's fine. But like it's still playable. It's still good. And in Morrowind, it's got like this kind of retro aesthetic that has held up a little bit better, especially with the
Hmm.
current mods. So even if it's a little jank, it's like you're kind of like, oh yeah, I'm playing like some OG game, and it's fine. But then Oblivion, man, nothing looks good in that game today,
No, it's
and
so
you,
ugly.
you cannot. It is irredeemably disgusting if you try to mod it or whatever. It just is bad.
Hmm.
And the only thing I'll give it credit for is I do think it had some pretty dope quest lines, but whatever.
And next week I'll recap the whole video for you guys.
Well, I want to get
Hell
my
yeah.
I want to get my piece in on Oblivion. Hold on. Hold on. I just want to say that I was at a very impressionable age when I played Oblivion. So if, to me it holds a special spot in my heart. Um and I bet it does not hold up very well, but I feel like when I played Skyrim, I compared it to the Oblivion quests. Specifically, like I compared the guild quests, like the Fighters Guild.
Yeah. Yep.
Hmm.
I remember liking the Oblivion's like main guild quests way more than Skyrim.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think the capstone quests for the guilds were way better in Oblivion. I mean, like
You got like steal a Elder Scroll. You got like,
right, right.
you got kill the biggest necromancer in the world or whatever. You got the arena, which doesn't even freaking exist, which isn't I know it isn't a guild, but like you got like I felt you had a lot of cool stuff in Oblivion. And maybe the game looks like dog shit. But uh freaking what's it called? Is it the Shimmering Isles? Is that the DLC?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's like a top 5 DLC of all time.
Yeah, the Shivering Isles were really cool.
Shivering, not Shimmering. Yeah,
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 yeah. That's like a top 5 right. So I
Um,
don't
yeah.
know. I don't
I don't
know.
know. I mean, Skyrim's DLC was pretty killer in my opinion. I loved Solstheim a lot in that
yeah.
one. I
Dawnguard
was
was sick too.
oh yeah, right. I mean, like those big ones were so good. But I do have to give Shivering Isles some credit. That was really dope checking out that place and seeing the dual side of it all. So
Also, real quick, dragons fucking annoying. Who likes fighting dragons in Skyrim?
Eh,
I'm glad they let you ride them eventually because then I could be like, screw you, take me somewhere.
They're just annoying.
anyway,
Okay. Yeah.
monster train.
What do we get? Monster Train? What's going on?
Right. Yeah, what are we doing again?
uh,
Who's
uh,
next?
I, yeah, I don't really feel like I said much about melting awoken, but you guys covered it. It's
Okay. You take the lead with this next one, Voix?
oh boy, little fade. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, you put a shard channeler behind this spikes fade. It's funny.
Yeah.
Hmm,
Yeah,
hmm,
yeah,
hmm.
yeah. This is the one, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
you've got Shard Channeler, Petrified Crucible, you've got whatever the hell the gnarled root, that thing you could make
Oh
her do
no.
like 2000 attack and just kill the divinity before he even swings. And this is the one that I love sticking endless on Little Icarus for because all it takes is one adaptive mutation and your run is nuts.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And you just, all you do is you put endless on her when she has like 200 spikes or something. And you just let her die repeatedly. And all you do is just wait until you draw adaptive mutation and you have won the game. And it's the most brain dead line, and it's so satisfying. But
Unless
So
it's chase Seraph and then you lose.
true. I mean, like you actually want her to die, but like the nice thing about that is you can totally play around it, right? You just let her go
Mm-hmm.
burnout mode on Chase, and you still body him.
mhm.
So you just kind of freeze your adaptive mutation for Relentless at that point, and it's fine. And man, like there's so many good things here, right? Because you can put sweepers, animus of will behind
Firelight.
firelight, and it
Yes.
goes crazy. You can support all sorts of things. Eternal Flame is really good here. You can have any kind of awoken line chilling up top, and you've got your awoken hollow plus whatever, and she just blows up stuff down below, and you've got a big relentless scaler. And you also have Cycle of Life, as nerfed as it is a great way of making this thing super strong. You just toss HP with Steel Enhancer as well.
That's
And
sad.
My spikes.
I know, but still, like there are so many good cards that you're guaranteed to see one of them, and it's incredible. It just wins, right? You can heal her, so she gets hit when she has extra HP. Oh no, we'll throw some restores at her and she's fine. It's nuts.
I think that maybe some of the spike stuff you're talking about there is a little too cute to be reliable. But I do think that just purely based on the fact that Awoken is probably the best Firelight clan to play. Like, I think this has got to be in the Little Fade.
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't even know if I would say they're cute. I mean, this is one of the reasons why I like looking at Little Fade's path before I choose the relic on Ring One,
Mm-hmm.
because the direction that your line takes is completely dependent on which fade you think is reasonable at that time. And so if I take Little Icarus, then I'm going to look at the relic and oh, I started with Petrified Crucible. I mean, like, there's nothing cute about that. That slaughters the
That's
run.
true. That's true. That is very
Like
true.
there, and also Emblem of the Exiles exists in this clan as well, which is just free HP every turn. There's so much here to work with.
Is I thought Emblem of the Exiles was a r- clanless. Is that an awoken?
That's an
That's
Awoken.
Awoken, yeah.
I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
it looks like it should be clanless because it has like all like the it's supposed to be like the guild pact. It's supposed to be like all of the clans coming together or whatever. But
Yeah.
it's the Awoken are like fuck you guys, we heal. This is ours.
All
Yeah.
right. Huh. Yeah, I mean, this is the clan that we should talk about Firelight for, I feel like, because there's a lot of good things you can do with Firelight. Uh,
I did just say before it was the best Firelight.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And so
Yeah.
yeah, you put two sweepers behind Firelight Fade, you put Animus behind Firelight Fade. The big problem with Firelight is usually the Fade isn't very tanky. She has very low health. Even if you reform her like 3 or 4 times, she's gonna have maybe 20-ish health, and there are waves on the divinity that do 100. So in Firelight, you need to have an answer to keeping your units alive, and if only there was some way to restore damaged health in a clan. Wait a minute.
Too bad.
Yeah, I mean, you heal all of the damage you take, or you get stealth. Either one works. But yeah, uh, has a really good helper for Firelight.
Yeah, agreed.
And then also, like, sometimes Awoken struggles with heavies. That's another thing too. Like sometimes they struggle to scale fast enough to kill heavy. If you're using like a sweeper specifically, you might struggle to
Hmm.
kill heavies. Eternal Fade just snipes them.
Yeah.
Pretty convenient
Yeah.
too.
I do think Awoken has kind of it's interesting. I think they have the best units to scale in the game, but I think that their offensive scaling capabilities outside of a few specific cards are pretty weak on the whole. It's like you've got Awoken Hollow and what? Razor Sharp Edge, and that's basically it.
Hey, sharpen,
Oh yeah, my plus
sharpen. Come
4
on.
attack for 2 Ember, man.
I
Steel
forget. I
enhancer.
forget.
It's
I
good, but like, I mean, are you going to be able to scale fast enough with just Steel Enhancer? And the answer is probably no. I mean,
You just
even
need
if you
six
do
of them.
a holdover spell chain, dupe it 3 times. Okay, fair enough, you get there, but like, still, that's a pretty hefty investment. I don't know. I usually see that I need to rely on the secondary clan a bit to support in some way, either through an infusion or through just cards in general. And Melting's got a lot of that, so it works out pretty well.
Yeah.
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 Uh,
All right, so we're moving on to Rector with Stygian next, right?
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so I think this is one of Melting's worst combos, and even then,
Hmm.
I have it as a B tier because I think Rector in general is so good. I can make it work really well with any clan, and you always have the option of just going a Melting line entirely, and that's nice. This is really rough for incants in general, simply because you have to contend with well, you only have the Frozen Lances or Foregone Powers to start. And Foregone Power is terrible as an incant card when you have 5 of them. And with Dregs, they're not incanting. So it's a struggle fiesta that way. But all that said, all the things we've already said about Rector and Melting still are true in this combo. And you can still pretty convincingly win by just playing Melting. So I've got it at B tier personally.
Voix, would you like to go next?
You can go ahead, Cranberry.
I put this as C tier because I again don't respect Rector. If you don't wear shoes, no, not gonna
I mean,
work.
it's fair, really.
But I think the one thing that is going for this clan is that there's like two spells that are really good on incant. Engulfed in smoke is pretty sick. If
Hmm.
you're like, oh no, I've got sirens or nameless sirens, and I have no way to keep them alive, and it's just like, oh, you found an engulfed in smoke, put holdover on it, there you go. It's like it does it. You also have like Wicklash, which is really fun with Eel Gorgon. Uh, pretty cool, pretty neat. But there's just not a whole lot of cross clan stuff happening here.
Yeah,
Uh,
agreed. I mean, like, even like in terms of like smaller units for other setups and things, you've only got the totems, and most of them don't are either rare or don't have draw priority, so they're kind of awkward to play with.
mhm.
So, and there's not many or any honestly great units for reforming here. You've got the sweepers, but they're kind of crappy compared to other sweepers. Low HP, low attack stats, kind of pointless abilities, all things
Pardon
considered.
me. Are you talking shit about 3 Frostbite on strike in my presence?
I thought you were going to defend Icy Silophyte there for a second, man.
No, God. She's a 10 health unit that gives you 1 spell weakness.
She does 1 damage, man. It's rough.
A unit was hard. I mean, there was a time pre DLC where you could play Large Stone quick and then she killed backline for you, but that was a different era. I think that unit
It's
was actually
true.
pretty good when you were allowed to do that, but Large Stone sweep
Yeah.
quick doesn't really work anymore on
Too
the
too
Divinity.
much space,
I,
not
I
enough.
still remember you saying Icy Silophyte was the best unit in the game because you could do Large Stone Quick on it, and it would
Yeah, dude.
kill backlines and heavies with the spell weakness.
Dude, that shit was so good. But now you don't get to do that anymore. But
Yeah,
like
it
that
doesn't
that
work.
unit actually used to be so much better. I feel like anyway, because you one spell weakness with a Crystallis kills or mostly kills heavies for you, and she
Yeah.
kills backline. Like holy shit, all you have to do is relentless answers. Yeah, I'm gonna. So I put this in B tier. However, I need to disagree with Dusk on at least 1 point. So I'm gonna move this to C tier, and I'm gonna
Oh,
move Stygian Melting to C tier because I think they're the same combo.
Voice, you know what you've done?
What?
You've agreed with me, you
Yeah.
idiot.
No, I mean I do agree
Oof.
with you here, though.
No, but we're supposed
Also,
to
Yeah.
disagree. Come on.
I totally think it's a fair take, though. I mean,
Yeah.
I rank this higher simply because I'm so confident with Rector, and I think that Rector's really good. But it's one of those where, like, this clan is not great. They don't jive with each other otherwise. Like, their
no.
strategies don't align. There's nothing good to harvest off of in Stygian. There's nothing good to incant off of really in your starting setup for melting because you've got tombs, you've got dregs. There's just it's rough.
Yeah.
So it's fair take.
Melting is like a unit focused clan, and you're pairing it with a spell focused clan, and that's gross. You do get to do, we did talk about in Awoken Melting, you can do Sweep plus Harvest, but like you said, they're not very good. I mean, maybe
Yeah.
like Icy Silliphite. The problem with Icy Silliphite right now is that she needs 3 upgrades, right? She has no
Mhm.
health and she has no damage. This is the problem. And like, so if you want this unit to be good, you need to give her like large stone, multi strike, and quick. And then if you stick that behind a
Yep.
harvest, you might be okay. But I don't know, man.
Yeah.
It's a
And then
lot of hits.
and you don't even really get that great of scaling. I mean, you have to rely on your infusion to be okay. And if
Yeah,
you don't hit like something strong, it's like, well, what the hell? It
maybe.
really falls
And that's
behind.
that's also a ton of investment in a sweeper.
Yeah,
Like that's a ton of investment to basically just kill backlines and be a bad tank.
but you
And it's
also you get the spell weakness, and that'll kill front lines for you. And the idea is that the harvest will work for you. But the real problem with Icy Silliphite is that you have to put her on a floor that isn't top floor, and you get punished for that a lot these days.
yep, that's certainly true.
Yeah, that's the other thing that really killed that unit is the space
Mhm.
being fixed on mid floor now.
Yeah.
That hurt a lot.
That's fair. Yeah, that's a good point.
Well, anyway, anything
Cool. All
else?
right. No, I think that covers it.
All right.
Brings us to Little Fade with Stygian. I think it's not great, but this is one of the two clan combos I have as Fade's weaker setups because, of course, you can still play Eternal Flame and just crush with a normal incant line up top. Primitive Mold is a spell again, so you're actually pretty decent at incanting. And oh no, my Siren died. I can just bring it back from the dead pretty easily. So it's pretty solid. I mean, I've also done some pretty funny things with Reform Hot Shark, which is pretty good times, but I don't know. It's still weaker. You don't have any great one space units in Stygian that you can really play off of. You've got the totems, but
Glacial Seal wants to know your location.
but like they don't have draw priority, so it's not like particularly helpful. And sure, you have Guardian Stone for Icarus, but it's not fast enough, and
Yeah.
it just doesn't work out very well. And there's nothing that has multi-strike natively in the clan except for what Eel Gorgon. But if you've hit Eel Gorgon, you win anyway. So it's kind of like whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's tough, but I have it as an A tier. So what I think reasonably putting it in S tier is still probably fair because it's Fade, and then just not in the little Fade tier.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put it in the little fade tier. I'm just gonna put it at the bottom. I'm keeping fade separate from everyone else. I think this is the
Fair.
Oh,
worst
so
combo for fade.
okay.
Uh, but like you said, this is the combo where you pick endless fade and then you just ignore her and play a good
Mhm.
Stygian line,
I was
basically.
gonna say the exact same thing. Yeah, this is.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, you can make Firelight work, I guess, in theory. You can be like, two sirens and a Firelight Fade, and that can probably get you there sometimes. Um, but yeah, you were saying.
That's basically it. I agree. You could try to do sweep stuff, but like we just said, sweep suck. The sweepers suck. They're not very good.
The one thing I'll say about this clan combo is that primitive molds are really nice if you're playing an incant line because you can just play them as an incant.
Mm-hmm.
Unlike the previous, the Rector Stygian combo, you have dregs. So if you're trying to play an incant line, it causes some issues. And then again, engulf and smoke pretty solid. So I like it, but I think it's probably the worst little fade combo. So I have it just in the measly S, tier, not in the little
Yeah.
fade.
It's the combo where you don't have Fade running your whole run, probably. Or maybe you do
Yeah.
because you're just playing like, I don't know, Lady of the House multi-strike, or yeah, Lady of the House with multi-strike and Draft Infusion behind in Firelight Fade, something
Mhm.
like that. Like you can still
Yeah, that
play,
wins.
yeah, you can still play Firelight Fade. You're just not really getting anything out of Stygian that you want. You're playing like Paraffin Enforcer, Lady of the House, Lady of the Reform,
I,
something like
I
that,
I
probably.
feel like I've had 1 or 2 runs where I just played a Silliphite or a Cold Kalia, and then just played it in the Firelight with Quick, and that was the backline answer for the run,
Yeah,
and
that
that's perfectly
works.
fine too. Yeah.
Hmm.
Like, I think it's genuinely good, but it's just not as fun as some of the other little fade. Maybe that's the issue, right? Is that not even that it's not good, it's that the other little fade runs do crazy stuff, and this just wins the game in a very boring. So I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
little fade. What are you gonna do? All right. Cranberry, would you like to do the Umbra introductions?
I think this is going to be controversial.
Uh huh.
I think this is the third best little fade. I'm
Or
putting this in just barely in the
Talking about
little fade
Rector,
tier.
bro.
yeah, we forgot
Oh,
about
Rector,
Rector.
shit! I
Just
skipped ahead.
forgot about the
You
Yeah, because I
forgot
champion.
don't
about
like him.
Rector?
This
Come
is my.
on.
This is okay. Fine, fine. This is actually my lowest ranked Rector too. Look at that.
Mm-hmm.
What do these two do together? What do? Do you chump block with morsels to feed Harvest Rector? I don't know what you do. I don't know what you do with this
I mean,
combo.
I look at this and I say, I'm gonna play a melting run.
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically.
And then I just pretend Umbra doesn't
Yeah,
exist.
and if that's not an indication for the worst, uh, you know, clan combo for this specific clan, I don't know what is. Gorge units like gorge units, gorge units hate everyone else. And when you're playing Rector, when you're trying to play either Dark Calling or Harvest Rector, usually like you want Rector to be in the front of your of that floor. And then if you're playing a Gorge unit on that floor too, it's like they both can't go in the front. If you're
Yeah.
trying to do oh man, here's what you do. Here's what you do. I've been saying this forever. Uh, change Alloy Construct's inert ability to being a weird bastardization of Burnout, where it's the only unit in the game that does not die when its Burnout reaches 0, but it needs Burnout to attack. That's how you make this clan cool. Because then Allied Construct can finally exist somewhere else and doesn't always need Morsel. That's my pitch.
Yeah,
D tier.
it's weird. Alloy Construct is like one of the best Umbra units, honestly, and yet at the same time, it doesn't really benefit from its Gorge ability. Like you hit Fossilized Fangs, and you're like, okay, great. I was just going to self-infuse this dude anyway for the multi-strike. I don't care about Fossilized Fangs, and that feels so bad. I wish he got something out of it, right? But
Yeah.
and then like you can't play him behind anything. It can't reform Alloy Construct because he loses all of his fuel. So it's like there's no integration here whatsoever. And I mean, I put this clan combo as like the lowest of all of these, and it's still B tier just because I think so highly of melting in the DLC right now that I think I can take a melting run and navigate to a win. As long as they show me literally any melting units, I can probably get there. But this clan combo is tough because maybe you see double Umbra banners before Daedalus and no unit drafts. What the hell do you do? I mean, you're playing a forced Umbra line, and melting is contributing very little to it. It's pretty tough.
Nobody's talking about Dark Calling plus bringing back morsels.
It's not
I
good.
I want to talk about the 70 attack morsels absolutely slaughtering people.
Okay.
The fun thing is like, have you ever had one of those truly cursed runs where you put like a multi strike on Morsel Master and then just bring that thing back a bunch of times?
Yeah, it's fun.
It's rough. And then you reform the morsels, right? And you play the morsels with the reformed morsel master, and you spawn multiple 100 damage morsels. And it's not good, I promise you, but you can actually win with it. It's pretty tough.
Yeah, I just, all they need to do for me to like this clan again is let me reform morsels. But to do that, random reform gets a lot worse. So I understand why we can't do that.
I'm trying to think of 3 Umbra cards that I want when I'm playing this clan combo, and I can't do it.
Like what? Space Prism? Uh, what else is there?
Space Prism, and Space Prism again.
Like maybe Forever Consumed or Blazing Bolt sometimes.
Forever
Jesus.
Consumed is a good card.
That's true. Yeah, yeah.
Trample Stone is
Yeah,
Oh,
good.
all right.
Tramplestone.
Yeah,
There we go. There we go. All the
Done
Umbra
it.
rares. All of the
Umbra
rare cards so
has
far.
Umbra probably has the best suite of rares. They're all like almost every Umbra rare is really good. You
When I
got
get when I get the draft 3 rare cards from that one cavern event, I usually go Hellhorn when it's possible because usually they're just generally good. But there's some
you,
pretty nice Umbra ones too, especially on Trample Stone.
Yeah, I mean,
you
like I'll take Furnace Tap
yeah.
or Umbra Stone, Forever Consumed. There's a lot of good stuff there. I mean, depending on the situation, like they've got some decent attack spells there. Blazing Bolts is not my preference almost ever, but it is slightly ahead of the curve by hitting 4 times, so it's
Mm-hmm.
okay as long as you can reasonably play it and upgrade it a little bit.
Good with the True Stone, basically, is what I like
Yeah,
about it.
true.
And it breaks the
Um,
game on Nexus Spike.
Yeah, that's always fun.
Yeah. I don't know. I put this in B tier. I could be convinced to put it in C tier, but then I have to. I put this below Umbra Melting, and that's just because I like Penumbra right now. Eventually, I'll give up on liking Penumbra, and then I'll change this tier list. But realistically,
Yeah.
no, I won't.
You'll just lose like 3 times in a row with Penumbra and then drop him on all ranks.
I don't know, man. Look, he's so easy, and Rector's also so easy, but I didn't feel like putting him in A tier here today. I'm in a different mood than I was last week.
Listen, no one with shoes is allowed. Maybe even in the 8th. Hold on, I gotta look back and see who's missing shoes.
Unfortunately, Voyix has won a game with Gorge Penumbra in the past 3 months and therefore thinks it's incredible.
Hey man, all you need to do is pick Gorge Penumbra and then hit 2 holdover value stoned infernos, and he's nuts. Trust me. Oh, and
Yeah,
also damage shield your morsels and trample
seems
stone.
legit.
Trample Stone,
I mean,
Fossilized Fan.
he's great. Trust me. Trust.
Yeah,
I will never willingly click on that unit again. You have to hit so much for him. But this is an Umbra week.
it's true. It's true.
Although I did mention, I think it was when was it? Was it last week? I said I hadn't played a combo in a really long time. What was it?
And then it was something with Hellhorn, right?
I thought it was like Umbra Awoken or something.
No, it was Umbra Hellhorn, right? With
Yeah. Oh
yeah,
yeah,
okay.
Exile Umbra Hellhorn with armoring up. Yeah, and then yeah. Right after we recorded the tier list last week for Exile Umbra Hellhorn, I said I didn't get this combo very much. I got it, and I just got fucking blown out of the water.
You lost twice, didn't you, right?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
on the first run I picked superfood and I got nothing to support superfood. And then on the second run I picked aggressive edible and I got a bunch of shit for superfood.
That's cool.
Thanks, Monster Train. Very
Yeah,
cool.
I wasn't very happy. Cranberry, would you like to do the next one?
Sure, since I already started it before by mistake.
Mm-hmm.
This is my only. Let's see. This is the third out of the 3 that I have in the Little Fade upper echelon tier. And that's because Little Icarus with like a ridiculous amount of damage shield is really fun to play. And Umbra does that. And that's it. That's my thesis statement. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
It's not
Uh,
bad. Yeah, I'll only do that if I start with Prismal Dust, pretty much. It's or like maybe a Grovel. Because what if you don't see Prismal Dust in your common cards?
well,
It's like, oh no, my little Icarus is dead in the
I
water.
don't know. Leave me alone. Figure it out.
It's
You just feed her health morsels. It's easy.
Yeah, easy.
yeah,
And then when
morsels.
Yeah, just
they
morsel spike your little fade. Come
yeah,
on, what are
The
you
when
doing?
game
they
is
when they die,
simple.
you just reform them on the divinity. It's no problem.
Oh, God, that
Um,
sounds terrible. But like, I will give this some credit. I have this as A tier personally. I don't actually think it's that great. It's the second worst in my opinion. But at least there are one space banner units in this clan combo, and that does play pretty nicely with Firelight because you just give them multi strike, give them +25, make like 5 of them, and that floor wins. So there's that, and then you can chuck some morsels in there randomly if you need to, and they get stats from Firelight as well. So it's not terrible. It's kind of like playing, what is it, Corruptor Chief with morsel spam, right? You just give the morsels 200 attack and kill them with those, and then you eat them afterwards. So it's not bad. I mean, it's a little fade, right? I can't say it's bad ever, but
Yeah.
it is one of the lesser supported versions of Little Fade, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean it's just like you said before. There's Umbra has nothing you really want to reform. Like with Hellhorn, with Awoken, you get some fun stuff you can do with primitive mold. I mean, I guess in Umbra you can have a morsel die, and then you have an extra 5 cards that'll give you a morsel one time. So that's cool, I guess. Woo.
Yeah, that's how you keep your morsels alive on the divinity. You get them killed 3 times and then reform them to top floor, so they
I'm
outlive the damage.
I'm telling you, that wouldn't be so bad if you could just keep doing it, but they changed that.
That's true. If you could do that every turn, it would be pretty decent. But once you eat them, they leave the pool, so it's kind of not
Yeah.
that great.
You could like
When
curate the
when
reform
you
pool too.
when you retch a unit like or a morsel and it had like burnout from reforming it, does it keep that? Does that reform like does
Yeah,
that
it
burnout and
does.
stats stay?
Yeah.
Yep, totally does.
Yeah, I figured it would, but I don't think I've ever done that.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, it's one of those things that kind of works, but never really does. Doesn't never really make sense, right? When are you
Yeah,
gonna do that and then try to kill something with the morsel? I mean, you can make it work a little bit with oh, what the hell am I trying to say? It does work sometimes with obviously with primordium is what I was trying to say. Like you, that's exactly what you do
yeah.
there, right? Like he gets stats and then you bring him back and then you play
Mhm.
him again and then he you kill the world with whatever you're feeding him to. But
Yeah,
it's
there's
not.
there's a there's
Yeah,
there's a there's a there's a alternate reality out there where some human has managed to uh play wretch, let morsels die to sweep on top floor on purpose, and bring them back to the point where they were able to survive sweep and use that as their gorge. And I feel bad for that person in that alternate timeline because this never happened in this planet.
That
I mean that
sounds
would be
hard.
that sounds tough, but that would be a sick run to watch.
Yeah.
If you get the victory off of that, that would be awesome to watch. Like just bring back 5 morsel miners every turn with like 16 health and just
Mhm.
feed your unit that way.
And have like a held over wretch that way you just bring the same ones back every turn.
Right, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
I've been
Yeah,
sitting here
that's never gonna happen though.
been sitting here for like 3 minutes trying to figure out where I put Wormkin melting on this tier list. We haven't done that one yet.
No, we haven't.
Nope.
Would you
I
like
put
to
this I put this combo as second worst fade, by the way. I don't think it's worse than Stygian, but it's not very good.
Mhm.
Yeah, fair.
You want me to do this one?
Yeah.
Sure.
Alright. We're doing Melting Wormkin now. I can't cheat and look at what I said for the previous combo. I have to form an actual thought on this one. I don't know. I like Wormkin as a supporting clan, so I'm going to put this in A tier. I think that it's good. I like Wormkin. You have a bunch of really good common cards. The only real downside you have here is dregs are kind of gross if you're playing big Wormkin boys because they have to use space for infusion. But I don't know. I still think these guys are pretty good. You got cool
Yeah.
stuff you can do. Reforming eggs is fun.
Yep. I was gonna say reform egg is good. It's very functional. I mean, it especially works with dark calling because you give them big stats and then you hatch them for even more stats, and that's pretty good. There's a lot of fun stuff you can do here with what is it, harvest as well, because not that you're going to be hatching a ton of eggs on a floor, obviously, but whenever you hatch, it does trigger harvest. So you could theoretically get a little bit of benefit there with some big sludge interactions. There was one time I had like eggs in front of sludge, and I was using like engulfed in smoke to hatch the eggs with an infused. It was weird, but I mean, you could do some fun things here. In general, I think Wormkin's a pretty good clan, and this is better than the flip side, which we'll talk about next week,
Mm-hmm.
hopefully,
Mhm.
where I think that Chief kind of struggles a lot with dregs. I think that Rector is fine with dregs, and Wormkin is a fine supporting clan for it. So, yeah, cool.
Again, I put this one probably a little lower than you guys because listen, if I'm not playing Dark Calling normally, what the fuck makes you think I'm gonna play it with eggs? That's not gonna happen. No, 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 no. Too
Fair.
hard.
Yeah.
Too tough. Brain too small. B tier for me. Obviously, Wormkin's got good supporting cards though. Even if you're doing like no matter what you're doing, you like Soul Crushing Guilt is always fine if you're worried about sweep damage or whatever. Uh, the echoes are always good. I feel like a broken record at this point, but yeah, you get the gist of it.
Yeah, I mean, like Wormkin has just got some good cards in general that are generally overtuned, and anything that says extract is probably pretty busted, except for like maybe perfect insanity or something.
Hey, what the
And
hell?
I'm sorry, I don't think it's that good, but I think that the extract cards are pretty excellent. There's a lot of really good commons, and as long as you're not relying on your dregs as your infused cards on big floors, it's pretty solid overall. And you can just play a melting line again, right? You have Rector, so you can pretty much do whatever you want. So yeah, I've got it as an A tier. It's just a solid, really
Um,
above average, really strong clan, in my opinion.
have any of you guys ever managed to do anything with Kinhost Carapace in this clan? Because when I've thought about it and I've talked to people about it, everyone kind of says like, if you're gonna do it anywhere, this is the clan because you're very often replaying units over and over again. So the Kinhost Carapace infusion sort of makes sense,
The
but
infusion is great, yes,
yeah.
but the card itself is
Oh,
tough.
card itself is dookie,
Like
don't get me wrong, but
because
even though the infusion I feel like is just very weird if you're trying to, like if your grand plan is like, "Oh, I got Kinos Carapace, let me infuse it on my tomb and play the tomb a lot of times, and then at the end of the combat before Relentless, sneak it behind the floor as, like, a big damage dealer," I guess is kind of a thing, but I
So, I
don't
mean,
know.
like, if you really want to do that, the right way of doing it is you infuse Kinho's Carapace into Votivary and give her Burnout 1.
Yeah.
And then you play her every turn. She'll burn out, slap something. You can
Little fade cosplay, basically.
yeah, well, the nice thing is then you can stick her up top behind like a Lady of the Reformed for Relentless, and this thing has
Mhm.
like 100 plus times 100 attack or whatever, depending on how many multi strikes you can fit in there, and it's actually pretty decent. Votavary, I mean, we'll talk about this a little more when we hit Little Fade, but Votavary is extremely good as a Little Fade unit in general because if it dies, it comes back with the stats, and you don't have to worry about the burnout problem. And so it's really good in that sense. And Kinho's Carapace is an exceptional infusion if you're going that way. The only thing you're contending with is a draw priority at that point. Like, how do I make sure I'm drawing it in time? So, so yeah, I think that's there are ways of making it work. And certainly Kinho's Carapace infused in an egg and then reformed is pretty nutty. You can get crazy stats very fast. The main thing that holds Kinho's Carapace back as a main unit is that it keeps the size increase on reform. And if it came back as one space and you could just slot it in on a random floor, then it would actually be really good. But at least in this combo, it would be really good. But the fact that it doesn't, I mean, it's like Shadow Siege, but worse. And you know how we feel about Shadow Siege. So
I've been told that the best place for it as like itself as like its own unit is in a Hallowed Halls run. If you they cap out at 6 space, so if you're Hallowed Hallsing on on a 6 space floor, you can get two of them, and they get stats pretty big pretty quickly. But it's still not a good plan.
yeah,
Um,
fair. I mean, you get like two of them. Maybe you give them two multi strike or something.
yeah, that's like the
I
idea to
don't know,
get because
man.
they don't get rid of the Jo crystals. They keep them there. So the idea
The
is you
what?
fill up you know the Jo crystals. Come on,
What are
uh,
those?
jerk off crystals.
Oh, I thought they were
Oh,
called
I
charged
see.
echoes.
Yeah, that's what
Um,
I've been calling him.
yeah,
Oh,
well,
that's weird.
check the patch notes. They changed it.
Oh, okay.
Um, but the premise is that when when you play them, they don't like for some reason in my brain I always feel like that they're supposed to extract, but they don't. They leave the crystals behind. So the idea is supposed to be you're just supposed to just play like 2 or 3 hallowed halls per round, and these guys are getting like plus 50 stats every turn. As long as you have
Yeah,
a 6 space floor, you're supposed to have two of the like you put them both down, kill them, you reform them. They go to max size, but they max out at 6, so you can get them both down each time consistently.
that's true. I
This
mean, that might be okay, but that's a little bit of a stretch. I think the only
No,
way
it
I've
is. It is a stretch. It is a huge stretch.
yeah,
this is exactly like me saying Gorge Penumbra is good because I played 2 holdover Value
Mhm.
Stone Infernos every turn.
Yes, yes,
This is
yes,
the
yes, yes,
exact
yeah.
same
exactly. Yeah,
situation.
exactly. No,
It
you are correct because you have 3 held over hallowed halls, so you don't
yeah,
need
you could
these
play
Yeah,
ridiculous Kinos carapaces for this
you
to
could
work.
play Train Steward and win with that probably.
Yeah.
probably, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, melting Wormkin though, not bad.
Mhm.
All
Uh,
right. Little
yeah,
fade version of this.
yeah, hey, it's going in the little fade tier. I
Yep.
like it
I
more than
think
Awoken personally.
oh yeah, really? Okay.
Yeah.
I like it a little less than Awoken, but I think it's my number three, good middle of the road. I have it in the S tier myself
Mm-hmm.
because again, the commons are exceptional, and Echo Infusion is the one of the best hits for a Little Icarus line that you could ask for. And also, Keeper of Echoes exists in this clan combo, so you can just have Keeper of Echoes chilling on the floor with Little Icarus buffing its health stat constantly. I've definitely done the double keeper of echoes with little Icarus in front and just buff the hell out of the health stat, and that super wins. So yeah, it's solid. And then even on that line, you've also got keepers hitting enemies too for anything that sneaks by. It's really solid. And again, you've got a lot of really good hits here for little, not little, but Firelight as well. All of the eggs love this, would love Firelight. You just need to be careful because they get bigger when they hatch. So you want to make sure that if you're doing like a Bog Chrysalis, you plan around the space of the hatched units so that you're not worried too much about it. The other thing that I usually recommend doing there is actually reforming the eggs a couple times before playing them behind Little Fade, because that gives them a default amount of burnout. You don't want them to hatch and then not have any burnout and then get burnout too and then die. But it's fun lines. Obviously, I think the Bogfly, just straight up common Bogfly, is pretty good as well for a lot of the same reasons that like draft is, although draft, multi-strike, burnout, et cetera, et cetera. But still, um, there's a lot of good mixes here. I think it's fun. I like this clan combo a lot, and I think it's awesome. So
I don't respect it. I'll be honest with you.
Uh-huh.
Me, and Prismal Dust, ride or die. I
Wow.
you can use Echo Infusion, sure, but like, come on, that's boring. Wouldn't you rather have like I don't know somehow, but get 30 damage shield on a
No.
1 HP little
what are you
Icarus?
talking about? So like, hear me out. I have 3 frozen kindles and a prismal dust.
Hey,
You think I haven't done that before?
consider the following. I generate 30 energy every turn. Would you rather have an X cost card or a card that costs 0?
Exactly,
That's
Hmm.
a hard choice.
exactly.
Yeah.
No, you guys are correct. Uh, the end.
Reform, egg, firelight, egg, quick, or whatever, endless path, and then you do whatever. Who cares? Just play the game. Uh, it's good. I like it. And then also Echo Infusion on spikes is fun. I like it too. However, I have actually not had I've run short on having enough health on the divinity sometimes with that Echo Infusion idea, because it's a
If
lot of
only you had, if
damage.
only you had 30 damage shield.
You need
Yeah,
like, what is it? Like, I think you need I think it's 4 of them on the divinity to keep up. So you
yeah,
need to
it's a
like
lot.
basically dupe that holdover echo infusion. And if you see an intrinsic on it, that's great. But like, you need to be playing that a lot, I think.
Yeah, alternatively, you just let her die once and then reform her, and it's okay.
Yeah, true.
It's not that bad. But yeah, I think this combo is. I like it more than Awoken because you rely on hitting the equally rare commons instead of rare cards.
Mhm.
I think commons or rares are more rare in a run. I think it's commons, right?
What is it? I mean, it's actually what you get. Yeah, actually, I think you're right
You
because
get
there
you
are
get a
8
max of you get
commons
yeah, you
and
get the 2 you start with, and then you see I guess, like, in a specific clan, you see 6 of each.
yeah,
But
I
not
mean, you
necessarily, right? Because sometimes your common gets
Exactly,
replaced by an
sometimes yeah,
uncommon.
exactly, yeah.
right, right. I mean, like, and certainly you only get 2 guaranteed rare drafts. You only get 2 guaranteed common drafts, but you only see the commons in the beginning, whereas any uncommon draft can upgrade into a rare. So I think it is commons that are actually harder to see.
No.
Yeah,
The other side, though, is that your guaranteed rare drafts are between the two clans instead of just from one,
that's true. That is true, actually.
which maybe
And
skews it a little bit more towards commons.
yeah, that's fair because that's then it's like to see a specific one. It's 1 in 16 as
Hmm.
opposed to, or I guess 3 hits. Yeah, math, whatever. I'm not going to
Yeah.
do it on
All
this, but you
right.
know what I mean.
All right. Get your pen and paper. We're doing statistics
I'm
for the last 15
Markov
minutes.
chain. Markov chain.
And for anyone who's watching, also, I did sit here at some point and I just organized all of my tiers so that they're easier to look at. Because so in my tier list now, the little fade and no, just the little fade tier is ordered by strength level. Everything else is just kind of like I put these here and then I reorganized it so it's easier to look at. Like I put all the awokens together. I don't know if you guys are following
Sweet.
like I feel this is the strongest in the tier. I tried to do that for
My
the first three
mine's
weeks, but
no,
oof, yeah.
absolutely not. Unorganized by with not by tier, like, or what am I trying to say?
Not
They're not
by
in order. They're not in
yeah.
order in the tier. Yeah.
Yeah, I had them in order for the first 3 weeks, but then it just started going to anarchy, so I made it look nicer instead.
Yeah, I think I ordered mine based on the order of the clans. So like Hellhorn first, then Awoken, etc., etc.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing now. Well, anyway, I guess we can wrap up here.
Hell yeah. Thanks for coming and watching the video, everyone. Super appreciate it as always. With any luck, we'll be able to get together next week for the Wormkin version of this to wrap up the tier lists. And then we can have the 8-hour collab pulled together from Voyix. But yeah, it's always a pleasure. So thanks a lot. Voyix, you want to say anything to wrap up?
No.
All right, well, screw me then. Cranberry, how about you?
Nah.
Awesome. Thanks for coming back, everyone. We'll
uh,
see you next time.
Before I end the video, do either of you want to do any plugs, though, for real?
No. I said
No?
no.
All right, Cranberry, but I'm asking now.
Yeah. You think I don't like Dusk?
You never know.
You think if you ask, I'll give you my plugs? No.
Hey, Cranberry, can you ask yourself for me?
Yeah, that won't sound crazy. Hold on a second. Hey, Cranberry, how's it going? Oh, I'm doing pretty good. How you doing? You want to do the plugs? No.
It sounded like a conversation right out of Oblivion.
Actually, yeah, wow.
That was pretty good. That sounded like two characters that are voiced by the same person doing disjointed dialogue. Did
Yeah,
you hear about
cool.
the hero of Kavach? No, what did happen at the hero of Kavach? Anyway, uh, yeah, Dusk, you want to plug anything?
Nothing too crazy is going on for me.
I thought you were just gonna say no.
Now, you know me. I'm gonna answer the question, but I'm not doing anything too intense right now. I am wrapping up the end of Wildermyth, which is fun. I've got the last campaign all recorded, so that's going to be going up over the next couple weeks. And yeah, otherwise, just a bunch of Monster Train. I don't really see any new games on the horizon that I'm going to hop into or whatever, but you can count on Monster Train being there, so fair enough.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah, brother.
Did you beat the game 100 times yet?
No, what am I on? Like 85 or something like that? I forget which exact number I'm on. I haven't lost yet, if that's the real question here.
Well, no, I just wanted to know what you're at. I didn't. I
Yeah.
didn't assume that you.
Oh, no, no, I know, but I'm just saying, like, it hasn't died yet. It could happen. I've had some pretty tough ones in this recording batch of videos, but no, I've kept it alive. So here's hoping I actually reach 100.
I have faith. All
Honestly, I
right.
mean, like, no ego, but I do too. I mean, I feel
Mhm.
pretty confident in the base game as far as just winning random runs. But I have lost a couple of the curse seeds before, so fair enough.
Yeah, they exist.
Yeah, it's spooky.
All right, Cranberry, last chance.
Fuck you.
All right, I'm gonna end the recording now.
All right, bye everyone.
See ya.
I almost cut Cranberry off. All right, goodbye.